All right, we have more changes unfolding in the US economy and the global financial system. Changes that have a massive drain on liquidity happening, larger than you'd think, and happening faster than ever before. We are talking big numbers here, folks. We're going to look at just how much money these central banks have been sucking out of the system because it's a lot. Numbers that could easily cause something to break, and the peripheral damage that this kind of quantitative tightening can unleash. We'll also look at another big problem barreling down on the US economy. And by the way, this is a problem of our own making. Our leaders had a chance to fix this over a year ago, but chose to do something completely boneheaded instead, leaving all of us about to have our wallets squeezed even further. But before we get started, if you're not already a subscriber of this channel, consider subscribing. It helps the channel out, and I appreciate your support. So QT, folks, quantitative tightening, the process in which our central banks begin to suck money out of the system, all right? Over the past 3 years, the total quantity of dollars in circulation has exploded. Not hyperbole, it legitimately was raining dollar bills after 2019. We are talking so much money, in fact, in a matter of 3 years, our leaders managed to triple our national debt. The US went from being 10 trillion in national debt in 2019 to 32 trillion today. And where the hell is all that money gone? Where's the extra money? Was it worth it? Really think about it. Was it worth it, or was this just completely boneheaded policy? Well, all of that extra money, the $22 trillion that was printed and circulated these past couple of years, sprinkled out into the world, has caused one of the largest bubbles that we've ever seen. In fact, it's not just a single bubble. It's multiple bubbles in multiple sectors, many of which are now in jeopardy because all of that extra money, the money that has made so many ordinary people feel rich on paper, where the house that they purchased for 300 grand now valued at 1.3 million, or your 401k that's ballooned these past few years, well, almost all of it is artificial. Realize the major force behind all market movement is liquidity. You can easily trace this back a few decades and see the clear correlation between the S&P and central bank liquidity. Clear as a bell. It's not like the old days of yesteryear where the market eventually gets it right and falls back into fundamental value. Those days are over, folks. In the new world, it's all about liquidity, which is why we may have a problem, folks. Take a look at this. Our favorite Wall Street analyst, actually he's B of A's chief financial strategist, put this out in his Friday note. Take a look at what he said. This was published on September 7th. Hartnett writes this: "The price is right. US dollar at 6-month high. A, in the past 10 weeks alone, global liquidity has shrunk by $1 trillion. B, pricing out of Fed cuts. C, capital flows into US tech. And D, China debt risks their currency now weakest since '07. Financial conditions getting tighter. Higher yields equal harder landing." Now we can see what's happening in this chart, folks. $1 trillion in global liquidity gone. Poof, in the past 10 weeks, and already 4.2 trillion wiped away from peak, which means it really is happening, folks. All of that money that was pumped into the system, the money making so many people feel rich, is being sucked back out and burned off. It also means there is a big, giant question mark as to what this means. What's going to happen as a result of them doing this? Well, let's look back the last time the Federal Reserve did this. Oh, wait, we can't because they never have. Real quantitative tightening has never been done before. So nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, but it's fair to say it's not going to be pretty. Now, we've been warning to take all of this soft landing rhetoric with a grain of salt. It's all you hear from financial media, but ask anyone in the industry, you'll hear a very different take. It's the zeitgeist of this period in time, folks. Like Arnett wrote, for example, soft landing all the rage, but ain't a bond manager in the world with more than 150 billion of assets under management who doesn't think there will be a hard landing. Look, there's two schools of thought on this, right? You have the popular opinion, which says that the Fed nails a soft landing, inflation is all but over, and rate cuts are coming. It's the popular opinion. It's what you hear and what you read in financial media, but the untold story, the unknown story, or the pieces to the story that are unknowns and could bring us the big recession predicated on unemployment breaking upward and causing what Hartnett writes, the big risk recession and higher unemployment cause higher, not lower, long-term government bond yields. As markets discount fiscal policy panic, politicians spending to avert social and political unrest, yields then rise to punishing levels, causing long and hard landing. We use any rallies in risk assets in coming months to get defensive and position for a hard landing. Now, we've made multiple videos this past month with an explicit warning for anyone who's unabashedly long to start thinking about some sort of hedging strategy, protecting yourself to the downside, because like we've been saying, there are a rash of negative catalysts that are all beginning to converge. We've gone over some of them in past videos. Another one, which we did to ourselves, folks, a self-inflicted wound, is the price of energy about to shoot to the moon, folks. Take a look at what the B of A strategist writes. The biggest picture, oil at 10-month high. A, U.S. days of crude oil supply, including the SPR, down to 46 days, 40-year low. B, Saudi-Russia production cuts. C, demand strong. India and China restock with discounted Russian crude. China imports from Russia up 50% in the past 18 months. Upward pressure on CPI from this energy, and Saudis no longer recycling oil revenues into U.S. treasuries. Saudi foreign assets at 14-year low. Look at this chart, folks. What this is showing is U.S. crude oil supply, how many days of supply we have left. That's including with the SPR, the strategic oil supply, 46 days of supply. We haven't been this short in over 40 years. If you're going to stop drilling in the name of a cleaner environment, you best not burn one of the most strategically important relationships that we have, that being Saudi Arabia. And there's reasons why it's so important. I won't cover them all now. Just know that they have acted as the gatekeeper, if you will, for our current monetary order. If Saudi decides to open that gate, which they've signaled recently that they will, let's just say things will look a whole lot different. All right, that wraps up the news portion of today's video. Now I want to tell you about the sponsor for today's video. CYBT Technologies, a young software as a service cybersecurity company. They just went public earlier this year. Here's their ticker symbol, folks. Make sure to write this down because this company offers a very important product, folks. Before we get into the details, let me just tell you why I'm even talking about this, why I find this company so interesting. And in my mind, they really could be an up-and-comer. The reason is because the industry that they are in, the specific product that they offer. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I've been in the software as a service business for almost a decade. I founded Snapforce CRM back in 2012, back when very few people even knew what a CRM was. Well, fast forward to today, everyone and their mother either uses a CRM at their job or for their business, which is exactly what I believe could be about to happen to CYBT's industry, the Sbomb industry, SBOM. Sbomb, it's a type of software, okay? And why I've been watching this space since last year, a space that very few people or retail investors even realize exists right now. But ask someone who works in compliance at a big company, any Fortune 500 company, for instance, most definitely will know what this is. And if they don't, they better learn quickly, as the US government is beginning to mandate it for certain industries. And why is that, folks? Well, remember the Colonial Pipeline attack or the Solar Winds hack a few years ago when multiple US government agencies were infiltrated? It was a huge story back in 2020. Well, let's just say that was hella embarrassing for the US government. A massive security vulnerability that needed to be patched. But what they found out when investigating was that they couldn't fix it like they normally would. The problem, the bad code, wasn't in their code base. Instead, it was in the hardware and software that they were using, the open source softwares that come pre-packaged with these third-party products, like a Trojan horse almost. Now, obviously, this created a real big problem, and because of this, a new industry was born, the Sbomb industry, SBOM. Sbomb's a type of software. It stands for Software Bill of Materials. It's a tool, a system that lets you see exactly what's in your software. Think of it like food labels, right? But for your company's software stack. What is in my software? Where is this software coming from? Is it coming from China? Well, that's exactly what CYBT provides. They created a SaaS product, a software as a service product, where big companies pay them monthly or on a recurring basis to license their product. Here's their website. This is their flagship product, their Sbomb Studio, an easy way for these big organizations to protect themselves against supply chain attacks and increase their security posture. Well, CYBT Technologies is starting to land these big Fortune 500 clients. And the reason, probably because there aren't that many companies that even offer this type of software yet. It also probably helps that the White House put out this executive order back in 2021 to enhance software supply chain security, ordering new regulatory requirements for federal agencies. And part of this executive order is for Sbomb specifically. Basically, what they want is to know the provenance for every software component that they're using, where the software code on both internal and third-party products come from. And CYBT appears to be taking advantage of this opportunity, folks, signing on these massive contracts. This was from last week. They put out a corporate update that they achieved 213% growth and that their average enterprise contract is $700,000 plus. That's pretty wild, right? I must be in the wrong SaaS business. Something else that did catch my eye about them is that they were named by Gartner as a representative vendor providing leading technology for Sbomb management. This is the name of the Gartner report, folks. And believe me, I know how difficult it is for Gartner to highlight your product, your software product, in one of their reports. They're like the magnum opus of software review. Gartner is, and their product isn't a simple industry to just break into. The number of open source software libraries that exist out there to be able to manage and track them to offer a pure play Sbomb product like this isn't easy. Well, they figured it out, and part of that is likely because of their executive team. One of their advisors, Chuck Brooks, cybersecurity legend. He was named by LinkedIn as one of the top 5 tech people to follow on LinkedIn. He was also named by Thomson Reuters as one of the leading influencers for risk and compliance. And he's also on the board over at CYBT. Now, one more thing to point out, CYBT trades at a market cap of around $80 million. Whereas ChainGuard, which you see right in the middle of this chart, has a market cap of $250 million at the time that this chart was put together. And ChainGuard is a pre-revenue company with a beta stage Sbomb product. Their product hasn't even reached production, okay, but they have a $250 million valuation with a beta product. What this could mean is that CYBT is in a very interesting position to be acquired possibly by some larger cybersecurity company. This type of thing happens a lot, right? Where a big company sees this new industry gaining traction and wants to break into it, but doesn't want to waste time building a product from scratch. Instead, they look to acquire a small company that's already done the development and has a product already in production. So that's possible, right? This company, in my opinion, they really could be a diamond in the rough. But again, you have to do your due diligence, though, especially with small companies like this one, like CYBT. This isn't like investing in Apple, folks. These come with high risk. And again, why I've been watching this space closely, because I really do have a feeling we're going to begin hearing a lot more about Sbomb in the coming years. Also, you have to use one of the bigger brokerages like E-Trade, for example, to actually trade this stock. You can't use a Robinhood type platform. Again, here is their stock ticker on your screen right now. All right, if you enjoyed this video, got something out of it, press the like button. If you didn't, that's all right too. Press the dislike button. Either way, I appreciate you watching.